Black beauty. When we combine a movement and government, then we get a law that says
discrimination against natural hair is banned in New York State.
Curl Fest 2019, how you feeling?
you came to the right place if you want to see some sister.
When I say black women, I mean the 4C, the 4B, the 4A, 3B, 3C.
This is how we tell them, we ain't going nowhere. We're gonna be right here. We are so grateful for you.
Curl Fest is an annual festival that celebrates natural hair in its purest state to counteract the prejudice that surrounds the world in regards to natural hair. Here's how you can donate, participate, help, or accept the curl movement. Growing up, I always had my hair straight, but when I turned 17, I made the decision to go natural. I cut off about 7 inches of my hair and I started to just wash it, and I didn't do anything to it. My whole family made fun of me and would make comments about my natural hair. And that's really common for most people, but oftentimes it can be in wider scales. People can be discriminated against at school, they can be sent home, people can lose their jobs over their hair wearing it in its natural state. So when Curl Fest was developed, it was supposed to be basically like a appreciation for all black women, black men, hair types, to counterbalance, to counteract the prejudice that was going all around the world in regards to the natural hair movement. One way to support Curl Fest is to learn the appropriate behaviors towards women and men with natural hair and who choose to wear their hair in type and styles that aren't common and traditional. If you aren't able to go to Curl Fest or be a part of the movement, it's best for you to learn what is culturally appropriate and learn what you can and cannot say and do around people who have natural hair. Accepting and being knowledgeable about natural hair is the first way, so you know how to address it, so that way you can be a part of the whole movement of what Curl Fest is. An entire law had to be passed this year in New York to make sure natural hair against men and women of color was no longer discriminated against. And Curl Fest started in New York. It started in 2016, and its original movement was basically a lot of women were experiencing people making comments about their hair. In order to be part of the movement and what they stand for, if you want to learn how to address natural hair, you want to learn what you can and cannot say. So some ways to be more appropriate towards natural hair is if you see someone who has like maybe an afro, instead of touching it, you don't want to ask someone who has natural hair if you could touch it. Another thing, you need to understand that not all hair is straight hair. You don't want to use words that can be taken as offensive, like nappy or just offensive words. Accepting hair how it is, even though it's such a small thing, can be really beneficial to how you treat others and how others accept you. And Curl Fest is really big on that, because even though they do cater to men and women of color with natural curly kinky hair, they want to make sure that they include everybody and everybody feels welcome. So making sure you know how to properly address natural hair is a very big step in supporting their movement. Learning how to support and accept natural hair is one of the most important things you need to support Curl Fest and its movement and its message. After you've adopted this way of thinking, you want to be more involved in women of color and men of color's hair and how we see ourselves. You can also send donations to Curl Fest. if you are not able to attend Curl Fest and you've already adopted the way of thinking that you want to see everybody have different hairstyles, you accept the fact that people have different hair types, all that, you can donate on. A reason why you could be able to donate, one, Curl Fest is nonprofit, so they don't make any type of money from this. Everything that they get donated goes straight into the corporation. Curl Fest has small events throughout the year. They have like hair braiding tutorials. They have like seminars for young women, young men on how to properly maintain your hair, how hair affects your image in general in the business world, and how to be a natural in the business world, and to make sure people don't say those discriminating comments that we talked about in reason 1 as to why you should accept Curl Fest or accept the way of thinking. If you aren't able to donate and you've already adopted the way of thinking that we talked about in the reason 1, but you want to really be hands-on, the only thing that's really left for you is for you to go to Curl Fest. Curl Fest takes place in Georgia and New York. And then, like I said, they also have different events and small parties and seminars, tutorials, all scattered throughout the states and around the year. Going to Curl Fest is such an amazing experience to learn about your hair type and be a part of the community. Curl Fest has really worked hard to make sure that everyone who goes feel like they're in a safe environment and no one's giving you looks for how you wear your hair. And I strongly believe that there's no better way to support a movement than to be a part of the movement. Curl Fest is meant for all types of people, and there are so many ways to get involved in the message, like accepting their beliefs and learning how to address natural hair. You can donate online or send supplies and materials for when they have events, or you can just go to Curl Fest. You want to learn how to accept hair and hair types that aren't generally accepted by society. You can donate to Curl Fest. That way they are able to continue the movement and have events all over the states about hair and loving yourself. Or you can actually go to the festival and have a good time. They have food there. They give out free samples, goodie bags. There's music. There are speakers. I was excited this year to participate in Curl Fest in Atlanta, but due to COVID-19, I'm not able to. So hopefully after this presentation, I've convinced you as to why we should go next